Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast episode. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. I'm super excited to having a conversation with you and learn more about the topic we're going to discuss, which is like a brand value. So we're gonna tell us more about like what is like a brand is. Obviously, people knows of the logo and etc. But what does it actually mean by a brand and how to increase the value? And yeah, you're gonna have a discussion on that. So before we get into the topic, our audience and me would love to know more about you, how you go into like a businesses. Is there something you always wanted to do, like entrepreneurship thing, or like you became a like entrepreneur accidentally?
Yeah, definitely the accidental entrepreneur, like so many people. I
Right.
actually come from the international development and nonprofit sector.
Mhm.
So I was living and working in Senegal in West Africa, and my husband was going through the green card process. He's
Right.
Senegalese. And for anyone who has been through that process, you know it can be very long and they do not tell you anything about when you can expect to be able to move or anything.
Yeah.
So I started freelancing on the side, and I just really enjoyed it. So even once we moved to the States, and I was working with a local nonprofit, I kept freelancing because I liked the extra income. I liked the variety. There were so many things about it that I enjoyed. And so after a year and a half, juggling both
Yeah.
pretty robust freelance side business and then a full-time job, I just decided, you know what, I want to go all in on this freelance thing. And that quickly evolved into a full-blown business. I definitely think it's different to freelance versus to run a small business or be a
Yeah.
solopreneur. And I have really fallen in love with the business building and the connecting with other entrepreneurs and tapping into that visionary side of myself
Mhm.
that I never really knew I had.
Right.
And so now I sort of transitioned away from all the done for you work,
Yeah.
to all of the communications, um, copy and content and social media management and audience. And now I live strictly in the strategy realm. So I do brand messaging strategy with visionary founders, with conscious and caring business owners who
Yeah.
want to have an impact in the world through their business.
Right.
And so I take everything that's in their head and heart, I distill it down, and I create messages that they're able to share with the people that they want to connect with. Because at the end of the day, that's really what business is about, is connecting with people, making
Yeah.
their lives better, and having the impact that you envision having.
Yeah. That's great. So you mainly focusing on a consulting side rather than like doing it for them, right? So you're finding out what the vision is, what they are, who they are, and everything needs to be aligned in terms of like building them brands. So yeah, that's interesting story. Like you had accidentally being entrepreneur most of the time. Like we come from a different kind of background. Probably your parents are like entrepreneurs, or like you have someone in family like entrepreneurs, and in your case you became accidentally entrepreneurs. It's like most people during the pandemic like becoming an entrepreneur because they will go laid off from their job or need to do something on extra on the side, and they become like a success and they make like a huge impact on the world as well. So let's talk about like a brand building and why is it important is brand building and what does it actually mean by brand. So most of the time we get uh, been told or like a seeing and understand the thing is like just a logo means brand, but does it actually logo just makes a brand, or there is a more than the story behind it or the culture and etc.
Yeah, so there's absolutely more behind it. The logo simply represents the brand, right? The
Yeah.
brand itself is the perception that people have when they hear your business name, when they go through the experience of interacting with your business.
Yeah.
That is your brand. Your brand is how you make people feel and what they think of when they think of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to happen regardless, right? Like regardless of how much intention you put behind it,
Yeah.
they're going to have an impression of you, or you're just going to be so forgettable that they won't even think of you at all, right?
Yeah.
So I really focus on brand building from the perspective of brand values and audience, really making sure those two elements are aligned. so
Mhm.
that they're pushing you toward your reason for existing, either personally as the founder through
Yeah.
your business, or obviously the reason why your business exists as well. So the why that you have in the world. And so if you're able to get really clear on the values that you want to stand for and the people you want to reach, that is how you're going to be able to stand out. That's how you're going to be memorable. That's how you're going to make a good impression,
Right.
and how you're going to be able to attract the exact people that you want to attract. And of course, repel the people who are not a good fit, because that's going to waste your time. If
Yeah.
you try to work with the wrong fit people, it attracts other people like them. And so the clearer you can be on what you want to stand for in the world, the better it is for building a brand that feels really good to you and the people that you're reaching.
Yeah, that's great. So brand doesn't actually be only logo, and it's got so much to it. Like story, you have to have like a vibrant, that what does it represent? So many things to it. And now in day and age, is a brand is important. Like you have to build your personal brand as an individual, have like a business brand as well. So how do you define like if someone is starting out as a small business owner, like mostly our listeners are small to medium sized business owners. They're starting out their business, probably is a coaching firm, or probably on an e-commerce shop that they created, but they don't have their personal brand. So do you recommend someone to have like their personal brand in terms of like growing their business?
Yeah, so my favorite combination, like my favorite type of client, is really that solopreneur online service provider that blurs the line between
Mhm.
personal brand and a business that exists outside
Yeah.
themselves. I really like that sort of founder forward brand, because it is such a personal process, but they are able to take that one step back, and sort of realize that, okay, this business does exist and operate outside myself. I am a huge part of it, and I inject so much of myself into my business, but it is a separate entity from me as a person. But in terms of having a personal brand, absolutely. Regardless of whether you're founder forward or not,
Right.
you're going to be representing your brand. You're going to be potentially having some other future endeavor, or maybe you have a speaking business or income stream or presence that's completely outside of your company name, or you're not always representing your company when you are running workshops or giving keynote talks or something like that. Maybe you want
Yeah.
to write a book one day. It's really beneficial to still be extremely clear on specifically those values,
Yeah.
so that for the exact same reason a business stands out, so does a person. So if you are going to become known for standing up for specific ways of working or specific causes that you want to support, or just however you want your values to manifest through
Mm.
you, you are going to be so much more memorable. You're going to be top of mind when people think of that topic or that problem or that way of viewing the world. So the
Yeah.
clearer you can be on that, it's sometimes scary. It's scary to stand for something. It's scary to stand up for what you believe in sometimes. I'm an Enneagram 1, so it's like in my nature to stand up for what I believe in. But networking events and put a stake in the ground and say, here's who I am and here's what I do and here's why I do it. But it is so much more beneficial when you are able to do that. And when you're confident and consistent and clear in what you want to say, it makes all of that content creation, those personal interactions, so much easier because you've already done all the reflection work.
Yeah.
If you work with a consultant or a business bestie or whoever it is that gives you that outside perspective, it's already been validated, right? And so once you have this framework of who I'm trying to reach, why I'm trying to reach them, what I want to stand for, how I want to operate, it is so much easier to show up as your truest, fullest in the best and clearest way possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important to finding out like where you actually stand for and your value and everything. So when someone like let's say someone reached out to you and if they needed a help on the personal branding side, how do someone like position themselves? There is so many things they could do. Like right now, people I guess so many information out there, and they sometimes they want to be a podcaster, someone being a YouTuber, someone being known for influencer, someone like want to be life coach or consultant, business coach. There's so many things out there. Finding your right niche and be known for who you are and what you are good at. So how do you help them in terms of like finding the right position for themselves to represent?
Right. So it comes values in that audience.
Yeah,
Let's take a podcast, for example.
sure.
If you create a podcast, you're like, okay, I really want to create a podcast, but you don't know who it's for. You don't know how it aligns with your business goals. You don't know how you're going to incorporate some sort of revenue mechanism behind it. You don't know how it ties back to your current or future offers. You just think, oh, I want to do a podcast. How
Yeah,
are you going to decide who's a good fit to interview? How are you going to, if you do solo episodes, how are you going to decide what topics to share? It's going to be so all over the board, right? But if you can really hone in on why is this important to me and why is this important to the world? Like, why does the world need another podcast, right? It's because you have a unique perspective. So what is that unique perspective? What is it that you want more of in the world? Or
yeah,
what is it that you want to take out of the world? What problem do you want to solve? Why do you want to solve it? Who has this problem and why? How are they going to find you? All of these questions. It takes a lot of this really foundational deep dive work. But once you do that, it makes it so much easier to action plan. It makes it so much easier to reach out to the correct people or create a content calendar, or if people are pitching you, it is a very quick yes or no because
yeah.
you can feel their values in the same way that you know what your values are. So if they pitch you and the topic just isn't aligned, or their perspective of running a business, or even if it's not a business podcast, right? Maybe they
Yeah.
are a health coach, right? And they focus on weight loss. And that is absolutely not something that you want to focus on because you believe that health is something way beyond your weight, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Those are the gut check moments that are going to push your business forward or your project, whatever it is, forward so much more quickly, efficiently, and in alignment with what you're actually trying to build, in alignment with the vision that you have for yourself and whatever it is that you're creating.
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, let's say someone find their positioning and they know what they're actually doing and their brand value and their personal values, everything's aligned. So what's the platform they can choose in terms of like creating the brand? So there is just so many things out there. Someone can use Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There is YouTube, podcasting, other so many new social media platform is coming every single month. So what is the best place do you recommend someone can build their personal brand or like a business brand and take it to the next level?
I think there are two ways to approach this question, and probably the correct answer is somewhere in the middle of both approaches. So one approach is to do what you are comfortable with, what you are going to show up consistently with, right? So if you love one-on-one conversations and audio, and you know that you could commit to a podcast and show up weekly, great, create a podcast. If you know that you prefer to write out your thoughts and be behind the scenes and be sort of bare bones and not have to worry about the visuals and video and all the moving parts, maybe writing a weekly blog is the right place for you to start, right? Yeah. So it's extremely important for you to be committed and consistent with whatever medium or platform you choose, or that you find someone to outsource to that can be committed and consistent on your behalf.
Yeah.
So that's one approach, is really focusing on what you can dedicate yourself to.
Right.
The other approach, and again, I think a combination is the best way, but maybe we should create content for them. Even if you do not personally use it,
I'm doing the videos. So I did probably after the content, and I can value in terms of like, even though I've become a guest for us hosting show. So if I create in one recording for, let's say, this podcast recording, I can share the audio on the podcast platform, 10 platforms, and also I can share the recording of the video on YouTube, make a YouTube shorts as well as the TikTok videos, the Instagram reels, then Facebook. There is a Pinterest pin as well. So I can be like creating one piece of content and post it on multiple channels, and that gives me like a more reach compared to if I just focusing on a multiple things, trying to do multiple platforms, like creating a one video for Facebook, one video for Instagram, one video for LinkedIn, then it's be like all over the place and you feel like overwhelmed. And after like a 1 week, you're going to give up. And you said consistency is the key. And when you're trying to do too many things, the consistency is not there because you don't actually like or enjoy doing what you're supposed to do, and making it too much complicated for yourself. And if you like creating a one piece of content, probably YouTube video, then you can share it with all of them platforms, and you can hire someone. They can make their YouTube content, transcribe it into a blog post and put it on your website as well, and that helps in terms of like a blogging as well. So there's a multiple channels to do that. So like, let's say like if someone comes to you like for a help on they're building their personal brand or business brand, how do you go about and helping them? Do you have like any kind of step-by-step process in order to finding that clarity or something like that?
Yes. So which is a consulting call, which is totally open-ended. There's no specific framework there. It's really that outside perspective and brainstorming and validation and getting a fresh perspective. That's what those calls are for. Getting your thoughts organized, just saying it out loud, is often so valuable. So that's one way I work with people. The other two ways I work with people do have a more specific framework. So one is a half-day intensive. It's called the Live Out Your Brand Values half-day intensive, and it is very specifically about your brand values. So establishing what they are, defining what they mean to you specifically. So you and I both might care a lot about our business. The way I price my items so that it's accessible to everyone, something like that, right? So it's really important to define what each specific value means to you, the brand. And then the most important part of that half day is going through how to apply those brand values. So I have 12 different buckets. It just happened to work out that that means you could approach either, if you have a 12-week sprint, you could approach each bucket, one per week, or if you're looking at your whole year, you could do one per month. But there are 12 ways that I outlined how to really evaluate and put into practice your values across your marketing and your operations. So that's a framework that I use for that. And then my sort of core offering is a full day intensive. It's the Messages That Matter VIP day. And that follows a pre-questionnaire to really get the juices flowing. Sometimes we write much differently than we speak. So I like the business owner to be able to get their thoughts onto paper, think about things in a new way, and then we get on a call and discuss it, because that's really where all the magic happens is, oh, I didn't think this was important, or I really struggled with this, or they wrote down this one word and that suddenly is like the center of their entire business without them having even realized it. So then I create a guide. So it's still co-created, but I am the one putting the words on the paper, but it's everything that comes from their head and heart. And so I have various elements that always go into that guide: a brand statement, a mission statement, brand values, audience, core messages, and your brand voice. And so then we get back on the call together, go over it, and workshop it together as needed. And then we come back 2 to 4 weeks later for a 1-hour empathetic accountability call, so that they're being held accountable to actually applying it. Because with strategy work, a strategy is only as good as it is implemented. So my goal always is for people to take action, take meaningful, confident action toward their goals, toward their vision. So yes, I have some frameworks and some containers where I work with people. And it really always comes back to, what do you want to stand for? How will this help you stand out? And really a lot of reflection and a lot of external perspective.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. So yeah, we are coming to end of this podcast. So Ashlee, thank you so much for sharing the valuable lessons for our audiences, for me as well. And so those who's listening, if anyone wants to reach out to you, want to work with you and learn more about you or your company, where's the best place to find out?
Sure. So you can visit ashleesang.com, Ashlee with 2 E's, sang like sang a song. I'm also on Instagram at Ashlee Sang Consulting, and LinkedIn just under my name. And I do have a free workbook for anyone who wants to sort of dip their toe into brand messaging strategy. It's the Stand Up to Stand Out kit. And it has a brand messaging strategy reflection work page, like worksheet. And then what my favorite part is the consistency checklist, so that you can actually cross-check, all right, I said this was important to me, where's this showing up in my business? So that's available at ashleesang.com/standout.
Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that you coming to this show and spending your valuable time with us today. So I wish you best of luck with your business, your career, and your life as well. So you have a great day ahead.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. You know how to find Ashlee. Go check out her stuff. Go visit her website. Also connect on her social media platform if anyone wants to reach out to her and work with her. And get the free book as well. So I give you guide and steps to how to help brand yourself and your business. So till then, talk to you in the next episode. Thank you, everyone. Take care.